We are still going to work on knowledge, but there's a lot of knowledge in the book of Job from chapter 38 to 42. So I'm going to start reading and we're going to keep on till we get her done. Alright, 38. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, Who is that darketh counsel my word without knowledge? Gird up thy loins like a man, for I will demand of thee, and answer thou me. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth, declaring, if thou's understanding, who hath laid the measure thereof, if thou knowest, or who hath stretched the line upon it? Wherefore are the foundations thereof fastened, or who laid the cornerstone thereof? When the morning star sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy, or who shut up the sea with doors, when it broke forth, as if it had issues out of the womb? Then I made the cloud the garment thereof, with a thick darkness of swingle bands for it, and breaking up for it by the degree place, and set bars and doors, and said, Hitherto shalt thou come, but no further, and there shall thy proud waves be stayed. Hast thou commanded the morning since the day, and causes the day spring to know this place? What it might take hold of the end of the earth, that the wicked might be shaken out of it. It is turned as clay to the seal, and they stand as a garment. And from the wicked their light is withheld, and the high arm shall be broken. Hast thou entered into the spring of the sea, or hast thou walked in the stretch of the deep? Hath the gates of death been opened unto thee, or hast thou seen the doors of the shadow of death? Hast thou perceived the breadth of the earth, declared, if thou knowest it all? Where is the way where the light dwelleth? And as for darkness, where is the place thereof? That thou shouldest take it to the bounds thereof, and that thou shouldest know the path to the house thereof. Knowest thou it, because thou wast then born, or because the number of thy days is great? Hast thou entered into the treasure of the snow, or hast thou seen the treasures of the hail, which I have reserved against the time of trouble, against the day of battle of war? By what way is the light parted, which stretches the east upon the earth? Who has delivered a watercourse for the overflow of waters, or a way for the lighter of thunder, to cause it to rain on the earth where no man is, on the wilderness wherein there is no man, to sanctify the desolate and wasted ground, and to cause the bud of the tender herb to spring forth? Has the rain a father, or who hath begotten the drops of dew, out of whose womb came the ice, and the hairy force of heaven, and hath granted it? The waters are hid as with the stone, and a face of the deep is frozen. Canst thou bind the sweet influence of Pleiades, or loose the bands of Orion? Canst thou bring forth Methuselah in his season, or canst thou guide Arxus with his son? Knowest thou the ordinance of heaven? Canst thou set the dominion thereof in the earth? Canst thou lift up thy voice to the cloud, that abundance of water may cover thee? Canst thou send lightning, that they may go and say unto thee, Here we are? Who hath put wisdom in the inward part, Who has given understanding to the heart? Who can number the clouds of wisdom? Or who can stay in the battle of heaven, when the dust groweth into hardness, and the clods cleave fast together? Wilt thou hunt the prey for a lion, or fill the appetite of the young lion? When they crouch in their dens, and abide in a corner, covenant to lie in wait. Who preserveth for the raven his food, when his young ones cry unto God, they wonder for lack of meat. Don't that bring out a lot of things? I like it. This is everything that God does. This is awesome. I love reading His Word. Let's go to 39. Knowest thou the time when the wild goats of the rock bring forth? Or canst thou mark when the hinds do cleave? Canst thou number the month that they fulfill? Or knowest thou the time when they bring forth? They bow themselves, they bring forth their young ones, they cast out their sorrows. Their young ones are in good liking. They grow up with corn, they go forth, and return not unto them. Who has sent out the wild ass free? Who has loosened the bands of the wild ass? Whose house I have made a wilderness, and the barren land his dwelling. He scorned the multitude of the city, neither regarded the cry of the driver. The range of the mountains is his pasture, and he stretches every green thing. Will the unicorn be willing to serve thee, or abide by thy guide? Canst thou bind the unicorn with his bands in the furrow, or will he harrow the valley? There we go. After thee, wilt thou trust him because his strength is great, or wilt thou leave thy labor to him? Wilt thou believe him that he will bring home thy seed and gather it to thy barn? Givest thou the goodly wings unto the peacock, or the wings of the feather unto the ostrich? Stretch thither her eggs in the earth, and warmeth them in dust, and forgetteth that the foot may crush them, or that the wild beast may break them. She is hardened against her young ones, as though they were not hers. Her labor is in vain without fear, because God hath provided her of wisdom, neither hath he imparted to her understanding. What time she lift up herself on high, she scorneth the horse and his rider. Hast thou given the horse strength? Hast thou clothed his neck with thunder? Canst thou make him afraid of a grasshopper? The glory of the nostrils is trouble. He paweth in the valley, and rejoiceth in his strength. He goeth on to meet the armed man. He mocketh at fear, and is not afraid, neither turneth he back from the sword. The quiver reareth against him, and gleaneth spear and the shield. He swallows the ground with fierceness and rage, neither believeth he that it is the sound of the trumpet. He saith among the trumpet, Yea, yea, and he smelleth the battle afar off, the thunder of the captains and the shouting. Doeth the hawk fly by thy wisdom, or stretch her wings towards the south? Doeth the eagle mount up at the command, and make her nest on high? She dwelleth and abideth on a rock, upon the crage of the rock, and the storage place. From thence she seeketh the prey, and her eyes behold afar off. Her young ones also suck up blood, and there the slain are, there she is. Let's go to chapter 40 now. Moreover, the Lord answered Job and said, Shall he that considereth with the mighty intrigue him? He that approved God, let him answer it. Then Job answered the Lord and said, Behold, I am vile. What shall I answer thee? I will lay my hand upon my mouth. Once I have spoken, but I will not answer. Yea, twice, but I will proceed no further. Then answered the Lord unto Job out of the whirlwind, said, Gird up thy loins like a man, and I will demand of thee, and declare thou unto me. Wilt thou also dismissal my judgment? Wilt thou condemn me, that thou mayest be righteous? Hast thou an arm like God? Canst thou thunder with a voice like him? Deck thyself now with majesty and excellence, and array thyself with glory and beauty. Cast abroad the rage of thy wrath, and behold every one that is proud, and abuse him. Look on every one that is proud, and bring him low, and tread down the wicked in their place. Hide them in the dust together, and bind their faces in secret. Then will I also confess unto thee that thine own right hand can save thee. Behold now, Behemoth, which I made with thee, he eateth grass as an ox. Lo now, his strength in his loin, and his face burst is like the navel of his belly. He moveth his tail like a cedar, and showeth of his stones are wrapped together. His bones are as strong pieces of brass. His bones are like bars of iron. He is the chief of the way of God. He that made him can make his sword to approach unto him. Surely the mountains bring him forth food, where all the beasts of the field play. He layeth under the shady tree in the covert of the reed, and thins. The shady tree cover him with their shadow. The willows of the brook compass him about. Behold, he drinketh up a river, and haseth not. He trusteth that he can draw up Jordan into his mouth. He taketh it with his eyes, his nose, and a piercing through snares. Let's go on down to 41. Canst draw out Leviathan with a hook, or his tongue with a cord which thou lettest down? Canst thou put a hook into his nose, or bore his jaws through with thorns? Will he make a supplication unto thee? Will he speak soft words unto thee? Will he make a covenant with thee? Wilt thou make him for a servant forever? Wilt thou play with him as with a bird, or wilt thou bind him for thy maidens? Shall he competition make a banquet of him? Shall they part him among the merchants? Canst thou fill his skin with bearded iron, or his head with fish spears? Lay thy hands upon him. Remember the battle. Do no more. Behold, the hope of him is in vain. Shall not one be cast down even at the sight of him? None is so furious that bore stir him up, who then is able to stand before me, who hath prevented me that I should repay him. Whatsoever is under the whole heaven is mine. I will not consider his parts, nor his power, nor his comely proportion. Who can discover the face of his garment, or who can come to him with his double bridle? Who can open the doors of his face? His teeth are terrible round about. His scales are his pride. Shut up together as with a closed field. One is so near to another that no air can come between them. They are joined one to another. They stick together that cannot be surrendered. By his kneading a light doeth shine, and his eyes are like the eyelids of the morning. Out of his mouth go burning lamps, and sparks of fire leap out. Out of his nostrils go smoke as out of the seething pot of cauldron. His breath kindles coals, and a flame goeth out of his mouth. In his neck remaineth strength, and sorrow is turned into joy before him. The flakes of his flesh are joined together. They are firm in themselves. They cannot be moved. His heart is as firm as a stone, yea, as hard as a piece of the nether millstone. When he rises up himself, the mighty are afraid, by reason of breaking thy puring themselves. The sword of him that layeth at him cannot hold, the spear, the dart, nor the harpagon. He esteemeth iron as straw, and brass as rotten wood. The arrow cannot make him flee. Sling stones are turned with him into stubble. Darts are counted as stubble. He laugheth at the shaking of a spear. Sharp stones are under him. He spreadeth sharp points things upon the mare. He maketh the deep to boil like a pot. He maketh the sea like a pot of ointment. He maketh the path to shine after him. One would think he would deep to be haughty. Upon earth there is not his like, who is made without fear. He beholdeth all high things. He is a king over all the children of pride. Well, let's go on to 42, and let's see what we got here. Then Job answered the Lord and said, I know that thou canst do everything, and that no thought can be withheld from thee. Who is he that hideth counsel without knowledge? Therefore I have uttered that I understood not, things too wonderful for me, which I know not. Hear, I beseech thee, and I will speak. I will demand of thee, and declare thou unto me. I have heard of thee by the hearing of the ear, but now mine eye seeth thee. Wherefore I abhorred myself, and repent in dust and ashes. And it was so, that after the Lord had spoken these words unto Job, the Lord said unto Eliphaz and the Tishmite, My wrath is kindled against thee, and against thy two friends, for ye have not spoken of me the things that is right, as my servant Job has. Therefore take unto you now 7 bullocks and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job, and offer up for yourself a burnt offering, and my servant Job shall pray for you. For him will I accept, lest I deal with you after your folly, and that ye have not spoken of me the things which is right, like my servant Job. So if Eliphaz the Tishmite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and the Zophar the Naamathite went and did according to the Lord commanding of him, the Lord also accepted Job. The Lord turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends also. The Lord gave Job twice as much as had before. Then came there unto him all his brethren and all his sisters, and all that had been of his acquaintance before, and did eat bread with him in his house, and they mourned him and comforted him over all the evil that the Lord had brought upon him. Every man also gave him a piece of money, and every one an earring of gold. So the Lord blessed the latter end of Job more than him the beginning. For he had 14,000 sheep, and 6,000 camels, and 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 she-asses. He had also 7 sons and 3 daughters. And he called the name of the first Japheth, and the name of the second Kejah, and the name of the third Corinne Heproach. And all the land were no women found so fair as the daughters of Job. And their father gave them inheritance among their brethren. After this lived Job 140 years, and saw his sons and his sons' sons, even 4 generations. So Job died, being old and full of days. Now, I've read all that so that maybe you could understand how little bit of knowledge, we have. We don't have the knowledge that God does. God knows everything. And like you said, do you know how far the water can go in the ocean? I have set you a boundary and you can't go past it. Now, today we have a lot of end-time prophecies and and things going on. But it's all in God's Word. But just think of how much knowledge you have. You don't have any knowledge when it comes to God. So He knows about your life. He knows what's good for you and what isn't. And I have learned that this month. Really, really. Because I really wanted to keep my store open. I'm not kidding. But His knowledge, there is something better out there. And I know. And I will continue to trust Him. And I'll continue to go on. Because I love you. I love you, YouTubers. Bye.